Welcome to Rants of a Naija Chic. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 3 of the series You. If you've not watched episodes 1 and 2, that review is going to be linked in the description, and make sure you are definitely subscribed while you're there, okay? Alright, let's get into it. So episode 2 ended with Joe, aka Jonathan Moore, walking into his apartment and finding out all those newspaper clippings of all his past activities. So he now knows that person who has been texting him on that app knows who he is and not his fake name, Jonathan Moore. So he's just walking around tidying things, and of course the inner monologue is going on. He's saying things like, where did I go wrong? Like in all through the seasons of You, Joe's lack of self-awareness is something that is almost funny. Like, you are a killer. Why are you always acting like you're the good guy in the story? My man, you were not the good guy. You are the bad guy in the story. But my guy doesn't even see that. He's like, where did I go wrong? That he just wanted to live his life. I'm like, no, I don't want none of that. Anyways, he goes to school to try to act normal and stuff, and he's kind of ignoring the person who is on the app texting him. And then while in school, he discovers that Malcolm's finger has been sent to the press, and the person says this is not a kidnapping, it's a murder. So now everybody in school is talking about that. Remember that Malcolm was also a professor at this school. Everybody's talking about that, like all these pockets of conversations is going on. And Nadia, one particular girl that I haven't mentioned in episodes 1 and 2, but I knew she was going to play a part, is going to this particular group of students and telling them you people should stop. Of course, Joe is eavesdropping on all this. Anyways, the girl is like, you people should stop, a man just died, pieces of his body is out there, blah 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 blah. She's obviously very distraught about the fact that Malcolm is dead. So Joe is now picking 1 and 1 and adding and making 5, like, okay, maybe this was one of the persons that Malcolm used to sleep with aside his girlfriend. That is. The day ends and he goes back home. Of course, he's always looking through the window into Kate's apartment. There he sees that police are there questioning her because it's now a murder. So police have come to her house and they're questioning her. This particular time, she kind of turns around and catches him looking and calls him. She calls him on the phone and is like, what's going on? And he's trying to say, okay, I heard the news, I'm trying to offer my condolences, blah blah blah. And the girl is very, as usual, very rude with him and like, the police is coming to your door right about now, you talk to them. Just as she hangs up, the police knocks on his door. So Kate sends the police to him as per he was the last person to see Malcolm alive. At least that's what they think. My guy Joe is not new to scrutiny and police questioning. So when the police is questioning him, you were the last person to see him alive. So he's like, yes, he brought me home for the party. But he now redirects the police. Now tells them about the blackmailing. Now tells them about that particular girl that interrupted Simon's art show. In very few words, he makes it seem like Malcolm dying is as a result of his past associates, ties it up with Simon dying, and speaks about the fact that in the news are saying it's a serial killing, because the news is actually saying that this is a situation of eat the rich, that the poor people are rising up to kill these elitist people and stuff like that. That's what the news is saying. He redirects the police so well that they leave him. Of course, they've gotten what he has said and they leave him to go and question that girl that interrupted Simon's art show. As soon as the police leaves, the person on the anonymous app immediately texts him. That B word sends the police right to you. You should take care of her. And he's like, nope. He doesn't want to kill Kate as of now. He doesn't want to kill Kate. In fact, he's kind of starting to like Kate a little bit. So all through this time that he had not been replying the person, kind of ignoring the person, when the person was asking, admit that you're Joe and all that, he immediately responded, no, do not touch Kate. Kate is mine, blah, blah, blah. So the person was like, I've got your attention now. Anyways, it's time for the funeral and he's of course invited by Phoebe. So he heads there. Just as he enters the chapel, someone kind of brushes by him. I took note of that because I knew it was going to be important. Now that he knows that Kate is on the radar of the person who has been texting him, because the person said you should take care of Kate, we all know what that means. So he's kind of checking out for Kate during the funeral and everything that was going on. Immediately he didn't see her, he stepped outside and the girl was outside, and the girl is still very rude to him because he's actually very, very sus. He talks to her, tries to kind of play that he's worried about her and blah, blah, blah. But she's rude to him and he's waiting for her car. Her car doesn't come on time, so she starts walking and he's like, God, now I have to follow her because I have to protect her. All this is his inner monologue. So he follows her to this bar and he's kind of acting like, I'm trying to protect you, you're not taking care of your safety, blah, blah, blah. I think this is a serial killer. I think someone is actually gunning for you guys. That's the angle he's trying to get her to open up to him. They kind of have a conversation in that bar, but that leads to the girl saying, let me tell take you somewhere. Takes him to a secret spot she had with Malcolm. Again, while they're also going to this secret spot, it's obvious that someone is following Joe, aka Jonathan Moore. They get there and the girl is obviously grieving, but is coming out in like anger, and she thinks that Kate thinks that Joe is kind of like interested and wants to sleep with her. So she starts putting the moves on him in this their secret spot, and they ended up doing the do in that secret spot. Camera now pans out, and the person who had been following Joe is Phoebe's bodyguard, who had always been like suspecting Joe of like foul play. Next, it shows Joe at Kate's house. Obviously, they've gone back to the house. He wakes up and he's like, oh my God, where is Kate? Checks into the room, Kate is sleeping, and he decides to take that opportunity to search her house. Now, he's searching her house for a particular letter that Nadia, his student, that he suspected must have been sleeping with Malcolm, told him that she left a letter in his house. She doesn't want, like, when they're searching his things, for the police to find the letter that she said a lot of stuff inside. So he's searching the house for this particular letter. And just as he finds it, Kate catches him. But as the sharp guy he is, he quickly pockets that particular letter and hands her the other ones. And Kate is like telling him, what are you doing snooping through my house? And he just hands her the stack of letters that he took out from behind the picture. And she's like, get out of my house. That what happened between us is never going to happen again. I would rather be dead. Anyways, Joshua leaves Kate's house. Joe gets back to his house. Of course, he's still watching for Kate because he's trying to protect Kate. He doesn't want the person on the end of the text to keyword Kate. And when he sees Kate go out, he immediately runs out after her. As Joe is following Kate, again, some other person brushes up against him and he kind of like stumbles, kind of like acts disoriented for a bit. I again took note of that brush up. Turns out that Kate was headed to the crypt where Malcolm's finger, the only part of his body that has been found, has been interred. And she's kind of like talking to him. She's trying to like kind of grieve him and stuff like that. Says what she has to say and leaves. Joe tries to leave after she leaves. And the bodyguard, who apparently was still following Joe, kind of like, comes out and pushes him, then points a gun at him, presses him down on one of the crypts there and starts searching him. As he's searching him, guess what this man finds in his pocket? The ring. Joe at this point does not even know what this guy has found because he's kind of like backing the guy, and the guy is like, wow, this is Malcolm's ring. So immediately Joe turns. Joe remembers the 2 times he was brushed against. First at the funeral, second time when he was fooling Kate. So he's like, I'm trying to be friend, trying to talk to the guy, but of course the guy already suspected him. So the guy is like, let's hear what Phoebe will have to say to this. Immediately they start struggling. Of course, somehow Joe gets the better of the man and does what? Keywords him. He waits for the cover of the night and then takes the man's body and goes to Simon's grave and puts him there with Simon, and then heads back home. Immediately he heads back home. Anonymous person on the text said, you liked that. This guy is trying to get him to keyword people and just, I don't know, get them to be friends in keywording, basically. He wanted to shout when he got that text, you liked it, because remember that Joe thinks about himself as the good guy, like, no, you sick, I didn't enjoy that, blah, blah, blah. But then he was about to send a long ranting text message, and then he was like, wait, maybe this person is lonely and wants to connect with him as, in one weird, morbid fashion. So instead of sending the long ranting text, he said, yes, that was exhilarating. And this person was like, now that's the joy. No. So him and this person have now connected on what now? On top keywording people. Anyways, Nadia comes to collect the letter that he obviously stole from Kate's house, and he's like, I didn't open the letter. I found that very curious. Normal Joe, he's always curious about people's business. I'm surprised he didn't open to read the letter. They kind of talk with the girl about stuff. Again, Joe has this way of getting people to confide in him, and that is exactly what he has done with Nadia. I suspect that Nadia will play a bigger role as the season progresses. Anyways, Phoebe from their friend group sends him a text message and says, let's meet at Sundry House, 12 noon. And he's like, okay. When Nadia left, another message comes in, and it's from the anonymous person, and he says, I think it's time we meet soon. And they try to arrange that. He's like, where and when? He's like, I'll send you details soon. So when he now goes to where Phoebe asks to meet, immediately he walks in. all the friends, Kate, Phoebe, Rold, Gemma, all of them are kind of like lying, looking at him, and he's like, this is not good. And then the two police detectives who question him walk out and like, can we have a word? And he's like, yeah, happy to help. And that's where episode 3 ends. The way these people like do these cliffhangers, I'm really enjoying this show. Let me know in the comments if you are watching, or if you're enjoying it, or if you do not know the series. Let's chat in the comment section. Be sure that you're subscribed to this channel. Check out my Facebook at Rants of a Naija Chic. I'm on Instagram with the same name, and I'll see you some other time. Bye.